Testing, testing, one, two, three, in operation. Testing. Looks like we are live. Great, great. All right, we are live. Coach Santos, you are live. All right, let's get all this technicalities taken care of. Get everything set up here so we can get on the screen, brother. Let's do it. Time to protect your soul. He we could fly up the sky. We are heroes now. Yeah. We are heroes. We could fly above the sky. All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome, guests. Welcome, guest community members. Welcome to Your Solution Interactive. Bam! Number 208. Looks like we've got somebody coming on the screen here. I can't see the screen quite yet, so I got a little bit of a new introduction here. So I want to welcome you guests, community members, soldiers. This is Interactive Your Solution number 208 with Coach Jim and Coach Santos. We're going to be your hosts here for about 30, 40 minutes maybe. It looks like we're broadcasting LinkedIn, no, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. So thank you for that. This is your hour of power, not a flower. By the way, gambling is a lie. It is a bad, bad, bad French fry. Make you die. Okay, let me get this volume down here so we don't get distracted. And then, so get in, click it, make sure that your seatbelt is on, turn down all distractions. I'm going to invite you to take notes. Bring a pen, piece of paper, bring a pen. Did you invite a friend? I try to do that, right? So you bring a pen, invite a friend. This is your hour of power. This is the solution. This is our time for us to get kind of our networks ready, our brains prepared for tomorrow and for Tuesday and for Wednesday, because who knows what we're going to go through those days. So this is our time, our solution live podcast. And again, I'm not seeing the screen, so I think Jim might have come on. So I want to welcome you here. Let me see. Let me get back. I got to turn this thing off here. Okay. Just in case, let me turn that off. Okay, we are back on. Is everything okay? Are we good on the microphone? Can you guys hear me? Testing, 1, 2, 3. Am I good? It's time. Hey, Jim, welcome.
Hi there, Santos. How you doing?
I'm working on super fantastic, terrific, over the top. Happy Father's Day to everyone, by the way. Yeah. Uh, yeah. So, how's it? We've got a few. Looks like we've got a few guests here. Let me see. Blaze Journey tuned in. Welcome, welcome. By the way, if you have a question, bring it up. You can, if you want to come on the camera. If you are not, if you're not chicken, you want to come on the camera, and you want to share your story. You want to make an observation, a declaration. You want to help this community. Maybe you got an idea that's going to help us reach more young people. I noticed there's been some young people on the broadcast on my YouTube channel lately, leaving a lot of comments. Some young folks out there, man. Anyways, we got Coach Jim, Tucson, Arizona. So we welcome you. Listen, challenge us. YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. Challenge us. Bring a question. We are going to take on the topic of change as we always do. We're gonna, let me see, what topic are we getting into tonight? What is your underlying factor? We're gonna look at that, maybe see if we can bring up some of the past. Your good life is gonna come out of a good series of good, constant, positive reminders. By the way, if you're not soldier scribed, please soldier scribe. please, Soul Describe, make sure you turn your notifications to all. And we're doing our best to be here live on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but it's probably not gonna work until I relocate and get my office going and get it set up and all that other stuff. So Sundays for sure. So I apologize. If I can pop in on a Tuesday and Thursday, I might do that. So Jim, welcome all the way from Tucson, Arizona. Tucson, is it Tucson?
Tucson. People don't know how to pronounce Tucson right. It's supposed to be Tucson, but it's kind of like Amarillo, right? Amarillo in Texas. Tucson, yeah. But that's the way it is.
Yeah, Hyundai has a band named after that.
Right. Uh-huh.
Um, but yeah, so we're gonna look at this. Let me see, Mauricio, can you hear me? Okay, good. You can hear me, Mauricio. Welcome, welcome. Blaze Journey. Let me see. You have a went to go to a meeting last week and blew it. Today, feeling a little defeated. Hi, Jim. I'm from Tucson. Hey, welcome. He's from Tucson, from
Nice.
Tucson. He probably drives a Hyundai. No, I'm just kidding. It's good
Yeah.
to see you here, Blaze Journey. Um, yeah, Jim is he runs the city there.
I just live here. It's a nice city,
Yeah.
peaceful.
Would you would you want to run it? Who knows? Huh? Run the
Tucson.
city
Run the city. A lot of challenges.
with good people. If you have good people around you, yeah, you know what I'm saying. But if you're, I don't know, you hear about these people that come into leadership and they want to make changes, but change is not that easy from the folks that are around them already been there. You know.
Oh,
So,
yes.
but we want to make recovery made easy. We want Army. We want to help support those of you that are interested in growing your garden. Are you interested in growing your garden? Harvest. Talking about the garden of your mind. So we dive into these wonderful topics that really stem, or they encircle, or they, I don't know how you want to say that. It's all about these addictions and habits and stuff that we've got, seeds that have been planted that we're trying to overcome and tear out the weeds and just grow into people of value, people that, you know yourself, you know what you want, you have direction for yourself, and you're not caught up with all of these things that we get caught up into. We know we get caught up. So, um, I do have a proverb I'm going to bring up here. Went to a meeting, so I'm glad you're here. If you have a question, by the way, if you have a question, you want to present your question, you can send it to the link below. You can send it there, or you can post it on here. If you want to come on the camera, like I said, we can have a few guests. You're welcome to do that. This is our program. This is our community. Our time to just reflect and say once again, Happy Father's Day to all. So, Jim, what when I say this, when I ask, and anybody can answer here, it doesn't have to be Coach Jim only, but what is the underlying factor? We've been talking a lot about, um, oh, what was it that we talked about on last week's podcast? We talked about reflecting. Oh man, it's been such a good week. But what is it that's holding us back? What is the underlying factor? It's not the behavior, right? Like, again, we'll pick on gambling. I know you have to pick on gambling all the time, but why is it that you're gambling, right? Is it one reason that you're gambling? What's behind the gambling? Or why is it that you're not willing to let go of the gambling, right? If you're gambling, if you're having problems, why aren't you willing? What's behind all this? What's the motor? What is driving all of this stuff that we sometimes we wait for the red brick to hit us right here, the red brick of life.
Yeah, I think there's maybe three things that we can go and concentrate on. One is the thing. One could be we don't know what we want. Okay. Now behind that, it could be deeper than that. It could be we don't think we can achieve what we want. Maybe we think we want something, but our mind, tells us you can't achieve that. you know,
Yeah.
or you're not going to be able to reach that. Or a third
Limiting
thing
beliefs.
is that, you know, uh, we want to distract ourselves from the real problems in our lives. I mean, something that happened a long time ago or something that's ongoing. And facing something like that is a very challenging thing to do. It's painful, it's scary. I mean, just dealing with, something that you want to do or a problem in your life, you don't want to face it. Really, a lot of us don't want to face it. And I think that's red meat for all the focus thieves and the distractions, including
The
casinos and
vultures.
gambling. Yeah, I mean, like mosquitoes pick up on our carbon dioxide and our smells, right? I mean, it's emanating from us, right? And all these things get attracted to us, and it really prevents us from dealing with our problems, the goals in our life. What we want, and I think it has something to do with fear. I think it has something to do with anxiety. I think it has something to do with lack of
Belief.
belief, lack of self confidence, and yeah, I mean the
Can you
feelings that we get.
now you were saying something, and underneath, right, the underlying factor why we gamble, there's an underlying factor, but what if that's not the real reason? What if there's actually another reason underneath that one? I guess if we're not careful, we can probably go down a rabbit hole, but there's always something deeper than just the behavior, obviously. And I believe that once you begin to understand those mysteries in your own life, only then can you really deal effectively with these things that are haunting you. Maybe they have you by the throat, right? You're bleeding, you're hemorrhaging. You're still getting along, but you're losing a lot of blood. Why are you allowing yourself to bleed like that when you can see your own blood? We we stay in these areas of life that are just so damaging sometimes. And eventually we're going to get out of it. Somehow some way we're going to get out of it.
But
Or there's going to
sometimes,
come a final end.
unfortunately,
Yeah.
we can get into that victim mentality too when we start falling on our face, getting distracted, and getting hurt by our distractions and all the negative consequences that happen in our life. It kind of snowballs, I think. Sometimes if you go
Yeah.
down that path, it's like, woe is me, my life sucks. I'm
Snowballs.
worthless, look at what I've attracted in my life,
Yeah.
it's useless, it's pointless.
It
So
snowballs.
I
That's the
mean,
one. Little by little, it begins to pick up momentum, right? One little thing, one little, it's like the diet. You begin to change one area of your diet, it impacts a little bit of the other things, and it begins to grow if you keep it. Of course, sometimes some folks go down that that journey of diet and they don't keep it. I'm not saying I don't keep my diet perfect, but I try to add a little bit. I don't know, maybe I'm cheating. Or maybe I'm just gambling with my diet, huh? But on a serious note, right? We want to those of us that want to I mean, you want to excel, you want to be away from gambling, like I say, permanent no gambling zone. I'm using that hash. I like that hashtag. Hashtag PNGZ, permanent no gambling zone. And that's not just about casinos. That's not just about the lottery tickets. That's not just about online betting. It goes beyond that. I know I'm not going to mention his name, but there's somebody that I know. In fact, this is like the second person that were driving their vehicle with bald tires, really bad tires. You don't want to drive your vehicle with one bad tire. Might be okay, maybe, but I mean, don't go far with it. But when you got two or three, that's another gamble, man. Fix your stuff. People. people wreck and they have horrible accidents because, and you think, well, that's not really what this is about. It can be. You, you might be driving with two ball tires. I'm talking to you. That's a bad gamble, right?
Yeah, in Santos, it's I've been thinking about what life is. Life is all about exerting effort and energy. If you really want to deal with life, you have to put effort and work into everything that you do in order to make life happen. Because what's the normal negative? The normal negative is basically going to tear you down. It's the normal negative is not doing the work. The normal negative is not being mindful of what you eat. Normal
Yeah.
negative is, going to the casino, right? Going off the freeway onto the casino. The normal negative is just feeling good, right? Instead of doing what's right, and paper cut after paper cut after paper cut, you know,
Yeah.
it's going to add up to some just serious destruction. So I mean, it's good to kind of think, before we do things. I mean, like we're on subconscious mode, we're on cruise control, but I want to get into the habit of always, asking myself, is what I'm thinking, what I'm doing, what I'm about to do, is this going to be, good for me or bad for me? Is this a positive or negative thing towards, achieving a goal? Because sometimes we're just on autopilot and we just do what feels good,
But how do
what's
you get into
comfortable.
a habit of doing that, Jim? How are you going to get into a habit of doing that? Right?
You got to start thinking, you got to start writing, you got to start changing, patterns of thoughts and behaviors. You got to just do it all the time. You got to just get into a groove. You got to build those habits. It
The
takes effort and work.
You got to practice it. Practice
Yeah.
it. It's like it's like a job, a new job. You start a new job and you're nervous and you don't want to make any mistakes or anything like that. Of course, the job is a little bit different than this thing, but eventually, you know what? Next, you know, you're coming late from breaks. You're driving in late in the mornings or at night, whatever, and it's like you run the place. You know, I don't know if that analogy makes sense, but that's maybe you don't want to run the place if it's not your business, right? But you want to get to that place with yourself, man, where you're running yourself. You know, you feel, you understand. You know, you feel, you understand, you listen. You can hear yourself. You know when you're stepping into bad territory. You know it. Sometimes you'll even make decisions knowingly, but you understand and you live with your consequences, right? It's one thing to understand things or to go, if you go ignorantly, but you don't want to keep making the same mistakes. You don't want to keep doing the same things over and over. That's the thing. You don't want to keep making the same mistakes over. You want to keep making different mistakes. It's okay to make mistakes, but they must be different mistakes. That shows that you're growing, that you're making an effort, that you're moving on. Am I rattling or am I making any sense here? By the way, um, yeah, to tie along with what Jim was saying there, um, practice. That's why, again, this is a practice. Coming here is kind of a practice. I know might be a kind of a little tedious, or I don't know what it is for. It might be for me. It's kind of challenging to come in front of the camera, light up the studio. What studio I have in, you know, but there is a studio on live right now going on here with some things that need to be monitored. Right, so you got to be prepared and all that. Um, but I do. Oh, let me acknowledge. Let me see. City by the Bay, Mauricio, Blaze Journey. If you have a question, by the way, thank you for letting me, Mauricio, know that my sound is coming in good. If you have a question, you got something, YouTube, Facebook, not Facebook, Twitter. If you have a question, if you can see this live feed, you got a question. I don't know if you can post a question. You can send it. You can always come over to Soldiers of Self Mastery and leave a comment. And I do want to thank I don't see them here. Mark and Laura and Mark. Appreciate you guys. That was a nice donation that you committed to there for Soldiers of Self Mastery. So hopefully you'll hear that. Shout out to you. Safe trucking. They just got a good job, I guess. I don't know. They got something going on. I think. Anybody else got a question? So Jim, oh, let me get to the proverb here real quick because I know time is moving along, and we probably won't be here too long. We got a small audience today, but I definitely want to hear more of what we got to practice. How do we get to that place where we're practicing? You know what I'm saying? No, we got to practice, but how do we get there? How do we get ourselves? We got to get ourselves over. It's like making the bed every morning. Do you make your bed every morning? Do you make your bed every morning? Verse of the day, the proverb is out of Ephesians. It says, Ephesians 6:4, it says, and ye fathers, provoke not your children to wrath, but bring them up in the nurture and admonition of the Lord. Reading a proverb, sharing a proverb, working on a proverb, making values, priorities in your life to live by, to honor the right things. All right. No questions. We got a quiet audience. So, Jim, let's get back to this practice. I'm stuck. I need to move away. I got to figure out what's holding me back, right? But man, I haven't really taken the time to do it. Once is not going to be enough. I got to do it kind of consistently. What do I got to do to get myself there? What's
I think,
scene? What environment? Who do I talk to somebody about this?
yeah, identifying a behavior that you don't like, and just kind of, it's like when something suspicious happens, if you're a customer, and you go to McDonald's and you find like a hair in your hamburger, right? And I don't know if you go to the McDonald's again, right? You're going to be a little bit more careful. Yeah, a little bit more careful. You're going to be inspecting, right? You're going to be inspecting, you know, that your hamburgers and your food a little bit more, right? Before you start eating it. And maybe that's what we should do with our problems. We identify a problem in our life, and we're going to kind of like look at this. Yeah, this is a problem, and I'm going to go and see how this thing is kind of affecting my entire life. I'm going to be focused on this problem. I'm not going to do anything, but I'm going to go and see kind of like the effects, because we're kind of going on the autopilot mode. We do the same thing again, and like it's actually
autopilot syndrome, APS.
uh-huh. But if something smells bad, right, we're going to start being a little bit alert to where's that stink coming from, and what is it doing, oh, the people around me, they're kind of making faces around me because I'm stinking, I'm smelling bad, it's like, oh gosh, I see what's happening around, I have a bad smell, it's like, gosh, people are doing, I'm noticing people, yeah, I'm opening up my eyes, gosh, yeah, wow, it's not good. So I think identifying that problem is first, and make it a problem, make it as something serious. It's like, it's, you gotta kind of like say, whoa, this is a problem. You gotta get kind of emotional about it. You can't be in denial. If you're in denial, it's like, oh yeah, no.
It's we're not talking about the river down there near Egypt.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
it's too close to the river, you fall in.
I mean, so you got to kind of decide and set your mind on something. You got to really kind of identify. And some people say that they have to hit rock bottom. They have to just go ahead and get socked in the gut. But maybe you don't need to do that. You don't need to. I don't think it's a good idea to look for rock bottom. Because it's not. I would encourage you not to go looking for rock bottom to change. Because there's a lot of, I mean, you can look online and find all sorts of people who hit rock bottom and they couldn't get back up. It took longer for them to recover. They lost too much, right? It's like
You
you
go
can say,
through
whoa.
you go through a it's like the your dashboard on your vehicle when it's like really low on oil, it'll start blinking.
Mhm.
Or when there's something else, they call them dummy lights, right? It's kind of a neat name. I don't know if they call them that anymore, but they call them dummy lights for a reason. So if you ignore those dummy lights, you're going to cause problems, right? You think, well, I'm just going to injure the vehicle. Well, what if you got a family of passengers in that car and they're an appointment, something important? It's not about the vehicle. Now you're impacting lives and stuff like that. Let me see. I got distracted there. I wanted to bring up a point, and I got distracted there, so I'm gonna switch over to this question real quick. Do you think the problem is adrenaline? My adrenaline goes to 1,000 when I'm betting.
That kind of stuff. I always like to go back to emotions and feelings. That kind of stuff. I mean, it's that dopamine stuff. It's that anticipation of what could happen, right? That kind of stuff. I mean,
200%, Jim. I heard it's 200% dopamine hit. Have
200 per.
you percent? Yeah. So every time that like if we hit the cigarette, we hit the bottle, we hit the gambling, it's a 200% shot of dopamine.
Mhm.
He's talking about adrenaline.
Yeah, adrenaline.
Cold showers are 250%. That's interesting, isn't it? So these rushes that we're getting from all of these things that are just horrible, we can get it from a cold shower, and it's even better a better shot inside. A chemical reaction that you feel, it stays with you longer. Because when it comes to drugs and these, that's why you got to keep doing it. You got to keep doing it over and over. That that rush. Maybe you're asking a question. One problem is adrenaline. My adrenaline gets 1,000. My heart used to literally pump out when I was driving. Before I was get to the casino, I could literally feel my shirt like popping as I was driving. And then once you're in the casino, if you win, you lose money, it doesn't matter. That's all gone. But I remember. So Uh, I hope I didn't distract Jim. I know Jim was on a good thought there. He was talking about we were talking about practicing, um,
Yeah.
you
Um,
know, and so I got distracted. But I think we'll come back to that. Maybe that helps you a little bit, Mauricio. I'm not too sure if we're. I'll have Jim share a little bit here, but yeah, it's just a matter of mastery, man. Self mastery, getting control. Really, I mentioned that in a video. You believe somehow turning on belief, and that's why it's good to be here. We can talk about these things. You got a question, even if you don't want to be on the screen, you can always send a question. We can do our best to answer it. Go
I
ahead,
think
Jim.
sometimes, yeah, I think sometimes,
You-
when we have
oh,
that self doubt,
we have
and
another question here. Go ahead.
when we have that self doubt and that paralysis of analysis, we like doubt ourselves. You know, um, Sometimes I think that it's good to just start doing something productive. Start doing something productive. It could be journaling. It could be doing some type of exercise. Something simple. You know, and kind of tie that to your overall goal of ultimately getting over your addiction. Because you have to start somewhere, and sometimes you know tackling that big problem, it's too much, and you kind of set yourself up for failure. you know
Yeah.
but I mean, starting somewhere and getting the ball in motion, starting to clean up your house, making your bed, you said, Santos, organizing your room, something, and make a note of that, write it down, and tally, your accomplishments, and tie that to your ultimate goal of, self improvement. And, you start building up a little bit more confidence in what you're doing. Um, and I understand in life, we don't want to tackle our problems because I think we've kind of convinced ourselves we can't. I mean, there's no way away from this problem. If I'm having problems with my family, they're just driving me up the wall. I have a bad relationship. It's like there's no way that I can get through this. I know what my problem is, but I don't have any solutions. And you say you just kind of like give up and you go to your addiction, you know. But I think it's important to find a way to get help seeing how you can solve that problem from another perspective. Talk to someone, right? Listen to the videos. You got to find out another way of solving that problem. I think we've kind of convinced ourselves that there's no hope, you know, but there's a solution. There are solutions, but yeah, being persistent and trying to find that solution is important. Um, Getting going, I think, can go and pull you out of the rut and give you a little bit more confidence to go forward and try to find another solution to that problem that you can't find.
I and that's well said. I heard someone. I heard of. I think he's famous. I'm not sure who he is, but he talked about belonging to a community. He talked about men actually. Uh, there's men that are, if you're not careful, you become a lone ranger, lone wolf, whatever, and that's not good. And some men are really proud. Um, I don't know if it's ever been a one man deal. I believe that you must be a part of something, part of a community, a part of a group, a part of something that's actually and strengthening you or enlightening you, or somewhere where you can actually give also, not just of your finances, right? I do ask that you would contribute here. Keep the number 23 in mind, but it's of your talents, of your time. It's not just financially. There is a question here. Does that make sense? Hopefully, I made sense there. Is it statewide or just that one casino when you ban yourself? You know, I got thrown out of a casino because I cashed a check for $1,300 that didn't belong to me. So I don't know about banning yourself from a casino. I've never done that. You can, but I always say, if you take the man out of the casino, he'll return somewhere else. But if you take the casino out of the man, the likelihood is that he's probably not going to return. So there's a difference there, right? That's my motto, is get the gambling out of the man. Don't just take the man out of the casino. Make sense? That's a mindset, right? That's a mindset. Okay, instead of banning myself out of the casino, how do I get the casino out of me? How do I get it out of my head? You have to believe, right? You have to believe. You have to be willing to humble yourself. Got to identify. Jim was talking about that, identifying a little speck. Sometimes we got a splinter, we got a beam, right? A 6x4. Look for the little splinter. Where can you begin cracking that wood, getting that thing off of you, whatever it is, that thorn, that burden? One little, and this is one splinter here, right? This community could be one splinter that sets you off in the right direction. I would never, I might maybe offend you, or maybe you might feel bad by coming here. Maybe I said the wrong thing, but it's never going to be intentional, because I'm just here to support you as I'm supporting myself here, as I'm helping support Jim. And I feel Jim is also supporting me, right? Allies, because we are going through tough times. Everybody is. I don't care who you are. You're going through a tough time. I'm going through difficulties myself, many changes that I'm kind of having to grow through, not go through, grow through. I have that mindset, right? Growing. Man, I said, no, we're growing through. We're gonna grow through this together. Barry Bob. Laura, there we go. So hopefully, I don't know if we're giving you some good answers there, Blaze Journey. That again, I'm not a fan of banning. I'm a fan of canning. You gotta, you know what I mean? Banning doesn't. I don't think it's ever worked for me. In fact, I went into the same casino. I cashed a check. It was a Spanish guy. I cashed the check. It's a real true story. I was hanging around the casino down in the Bay Area years ago, and I met this Spanish guy, uh, Latino, and I don't think he had any ID or anything. But anyways, he told me, "Hang around. I'm going to win one of these machines." So I'm losing money. So I hang around. I'm down like $400 already. So I'm hanging around. Next, this guy comes over with a ticket. It's like $1,200 or $1,300, and it was like the machine he kind of knew. So I went and cashed that check, and nonchalantly I took some of the money, put it in my pocket, and went back to the machine. And he went. Next, we got called in by security. We got brought to the back room, and what do you do with the money? We watched you guys because I cashed the check. So we went through this whole interrogation. This guy was scared because he couldn't speak English that well. He's like, ¿qué están diciendo? What do they say? What do they say? We were just lying through our teeth. I had money in my pocket. I was not going to give up, and they weren't searching us, so I was not going to give up that money that I had because I just lost $400. So they said, "We know you guys are lying. We want you to leave the casino." Now there's about five individuals in there, a woman or two women, no, one woman and like four guys or three guys. "Get out of here. We won't ever want to see you again. If we see you on the premise, we're going to arrest you on the spot." So I left with money. This guy left with money. I've never seen this guy ever again. Don't know who he was. Didn't just happen like that. And so it just came to mind about this banning thing. And then a couple months later, I was back in the casino again. Just a couple months later. So whatever that meant. Um, Nelson, welcome to the broadcast. Barry, welcome. City by the Bay has a question here. I'm going to let Jim get into this here. Let's see. Question for Jim. Do you guys think anxiety is a spiritual thing? Let Coach Jim here give his spin on it here for a minute. Let me see if there's something else.
I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't. I've been listening to Charles Stanley, and he's really good. He passed away, but he's a pastor over in Atlanta, Georgia, and he was speaking about anxiety, and I mean, he says that God is there for you, and put your focus on God or the higher power. Has a plan for you. It's on God's hands. Focus on that's all that is good, and beautiful. It's really what we focus on. Anxiety can go out and build on itself. It's kind of difficult to comprehend, to control our emotions, but I think anxiety can be a choice depending upon how much we're thinking about and what we're focusing on. A possible problem. Our imagination can run crazy, and our body and our mind is built to protect ourselves with fight or flight, right? And that fear that we have inside of us, that anxiety is there for a
fight,
purpose.
flight, or make friends.
Yeah, and it's a purpose to protect ourselves, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, sometimes our mind can get so twisted that we can allow that anxiety, those negative thoughts, bringing out that cortisol, those negative chemicals, that adrenaline going into our system. It can just play havoc on us. And what are we focusing on? If you're spiritual, remember that God's on your side. God has a plan, right? If focus on okay, breathing.
Yeah.
Focus on intentionally doing things like relaxing yourself. Yeah, I mean, it takes work. It really takes work. The normal negative drags us down.
Yeah.
And if we're not careful, it takes effort and energy to really say, what, mind, I'm not going to let you bully me. I'm not going to let you bully me. I'm in control here. I'm in control. I'm in control. Whatever happens, I don't care. I'm in control. That takes effort, but it's amazing what kind of feelings you start getting when you say, what, I'm in control. I have the power, you know? No one's going to
Just
bully
saying
me,
that.
you
Just
know?
saying that. Like I made a video, I might post it on YouTube about labeling. Somebody basically projecting something on you, labeling you. We've talked a lot about this too. Also, you get uh, just you label yourself. You don't accept other people's opinions. You don't accept other people's even their energy. Sometimes you can pick up on somebody's energy and it may affect you. And you have to close the door to these kinds of things. Um, Hello, Mark. I want to give a shout out to Mark here. Mark and Laura there. Thank you guys for your contribution. Big $75,000. No, not 75,000. That'd be nice. But a big shout out to these guys. They gave a nice donation, and it goes to help support the new work of the Little Red Book. So, there was a question here. I know Nelson Martinez has a question. Laura says, "Great advice, thank you, Mark and Laura Swift. Safe trucking out there. You guys are the best." These guys, they said they were going to donate, contribute last podcast, I believe, and see they kept their word. So, um, I'm not saying they keep their word every time, but anyways, that has nothing to do with donations. But these folks have been supportive, and I appreciate you because you know what, your work is reaching young people. I've had a lot of young people. I shouldn't say a lot. I've had an increase in numbers of young people coming and really confessing their sins. Man, there's people out there that are really hurting. So I support you guys however I can. Please keep the number 23 in mind if you want to contribute, if you really feel supported by this mission going forward. But Nelson says that I'm in debt and it's hard. Well, it is hard if you believe it's hard. We can go into this because we did talk about this a while back about saying these kinds of things. I'm sure Jim remembers. If we say, in fact, we're mentioning this here, if we continually repeat things, your mouth is a special thing that you have. It's not just for eating tacos and spaghetti and fried chicken. You can use this thing for many, many wonderful spiritual things also, because you are spirit, soul inside. You've got an invisible portion of you. I call it spirit. And you can use your mouth for many things. You can talk to yourself really. I mean, well, right? We can talk to ourselves out of things, and we can talk ourselves into things just with words. And then if you add, Jim mentioned some deep breathing a couple times a day, right? Deep breathing times 3, I call it. Every once in a while, it's good to just stop and just suck some air in and let all that negativity out, man. Suck in some positive and blow out all that negativity. Once or twice, 3 times a day, man, that can make a big difference. So these little hacks, these little life hacks can make a big, profound changes. Again, you can start out with one little thing. We talked about finding the splinter in the problem or whatever. I think that's what we were talking about earlier. You don't have to try to engage all the problems, but just one little splinter. Start out in one little corner. Like we talked about earlier, make your bed. I've always, even when I was in the military, I had to make my bed, but I make my bed all the time. It's habit. I rarely, in fact, I don't ever. One time I was accused and it angered me because no, this is habit, man. I get up every freaking morning and I shouldn't say freaking morning. I should say every grateful morning. Yeah, I stand corrected. Forgive me, Lord. It's a grateful morning. So, anyways, I'm preaching there. Nelson, if you watch some of the videos here in the community, I share a lot of ideas. Jim and I share. We've talked about businesses in the past. We've had episodes where we talked about how to create business, how to generate income, how to use your ideas, et cetera, et cetera. So this is the right place. This is the right time. If you hang around long enough, you're going to pick up some of this energy. You hang around long enough. By the way, I see an increase in numbers. That's great today. Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. You hang around, you're going to get some of this energy. And listen, it's not about us. There's nobody perfect here. We're all going through shit. Pardon my French. I'm going through it too. And I remember I used to go gambling. I used to do a lot of weird shit when I went through hard times. And now I just look back and I say, man, I'm grateful. I don't go there no more. I've managed to get my I managed to get that boulder, that big boulder. I managed to get it to the level where the boulder is no longer rolling on me anymore. But now it's time to get the other boulder. It's like you keep climbing and growing. Maybe you haven't gotten your boulder yet. You're just kind of, man, it's heavy, Santos. Man, it's like teetering. You got to keep at it, man. Believe and get that boulder on that level into that position where it's stable, won't fall back on you. Does that make sense, folks? I hope it does. Um, Bending reality. Gambling's a lie. Turn on your belief. I got to keep this number in mind, episode number 208, because I keep forgetting. So let me see if there's another question. Nelson, thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, we're here for you, brother. We're here for you. If you want to get away from gambling, if you are a gambler, I don't care where you are, this is the right place. Jim says it. He believes it. So I believe it. Hopefully you believe it. Um, yeah, and again, you can always join SciTech right there, and you can send me a question. We put out a couple of emails during the week. It's encouragement. It's tools, man. It's like a splinter here, a splinter there. If you want to buy a book, you can buy a book, right? That's another splinter. You want to buy some coaching for yourself. You want to advance in some coaching. You want to dive into some deep stuff in your life. Coaching is pretty advanced. That's an investment. That's another splinter. That might be a big splinter though. But man, we're getting here for an hour. I believe this is precious time. I don't take this for granted, this hour, because I'm thinking, I'm sharing, I'm taking notes. My mind is. I get ideas. I get so many ideas sometimes I can't even write them down. You ever get that, Jim, where you get like a lot of ideas and yeah, that's a good idea, and then you didn't write it down and you left it somewhere. You left it in the shower. It went down the drain with the water. It went down the drain with the water. Laura says, let me see. Jim says, go ahead, Jim. You got some thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, like I just want to emphasize work. I think it's for me. I just got to be conscious that it takes work. You know, but it really pays off. One of my problems is fatigue. I mean, physically fatigued, and when I get physically fatigued, I don't have any I don't have much motivation. My motivation gets drained, especially to do work in front of the computer. But you know what? If I do 10 push-ups, or let's say 10 sit-ups, right? Or 10 jumping jacks, just a few, right? All of a sudden, I feel a lot better. I feel I have energy. I have energy because I did a little bit of work, a little bit of work.
It's chemicals,
Right?
chemicals released in your body. Feel
Yeah,
good chemicals. That's what it
exactly.
is.
So if we can take that idea and believe in that, I mean, really, if you should try it. If you feel tired, fatigued, in the afternoon, start doing a little bit of extra, just a little bit, 10 push-ups, take a brisk walk outside and you'll see, wow, it's like, I don't want to walk. I don't want to exercise. You get those stupid things in your mind. It's like,
You say the
no, I
word,
don't.
see,
Yeah.
right? You say the words. You. It's like we talk ourselves out of something that we could talk ourselves into. We
Yeah.
should
The
be talking
mind,
ourselves into.
it's a bad habit. Our subconscious, the normal negative, wants to say, oh no, it's gonna hurt, it's gonna be painful, that work, it's too much, right? You gotta just say, shut the hell up. you know
Yeah.
just shut it, you know and just
Yep.
do that little work and say, oh my gosh, it's like, wow. It took work for you to keep driving on the freeway, to say, no, fight those urges, right? Fight those urges. instead of getting off of the off ramp to your casino or to the bar or to
There
the
you
drug
go,
dealer.
Laura.
I mean, that habit of being conscious and putting the work in, to fight, to fight back. That is a great habit to get into right there. I mean, I want to say it because I want to believe it and I want to have it happen in my life. Put the
Little
work in, put the work and put the effort in, put the energy in, and everything that we do, you know, um, because the normal negative is just going to go out and just pull us to our addictions. It's just we got to
and
fight back.
and the thing is that we have to fix. I think one of the we have to fix ourselves. You have to work on yourself. I know Jim mentioned that earlier. I'm going to mention this because I know we're getting close to the end of the hour here. You got to fix yourself. You gotta, you gotta understand that you can make yourself into a well-oiled, tuned, fine-tuned machine. And I don't mean like non-human because we're all humans, but we've got some pretty cool gifts like the brain, the mouth. We've got an emotional set up inside of ourselves, emotional intelligence that can help us in many, many different ways. And we don't really explore these things. That's why we talk about these things here on this broadcast. So if you're struggling, like Jim says, this is the right place. It's time. You're here. You're safe here.
Yeah, you talked about
And gambling.
you know,
So I'm going to continue. Go ahead.
yeah, Santos. You talked about how it's tough to share our problems. It's tough to seek help from people. Because it's shameful. Our addictions are very shameful, and it's asking for help and that kind of stuff. Um, but that's the reason why we're here. That's the reason why we're talking. We're sharing ideas. We're sharing tools. You know, and when people start thinking about these tools, they see their problem from a different perspective. And that's what we want to do. We want to help people see things that, yes, your problem can be crushed, it can be destroyed. You can overcome. You can overcome. Look at this, look at that, look at the language that you use. Right? Think about the language. You know, um,
Mhm.
Nelson said that I'm in tremendous debt,
Oh, it's
debt
hard to quit.
gambling. It's hard.
It's hard to quit.
Yeah, but what if he uses the word but? I'm here and I'm going to find a solution. You know,
Mhm. That's the
just
other
by
side.
saying that, just by
Yep.
adding that,
Yep.
think about what you say to yourself. Think about your thoughts. Think about what you're writing down, right? And see if you can go and change your language. Your language can go and change your thoughts. Your thoughts can go and change your emotions, right? And then your emotions can go and push you in the right direction to do that work in order to overcome your addiction.
Either that or just take action. All right. Either that or just take action. Some of us are waiting. We're waiting for something.
Mhm.
And then there's times where you can just take action. When is that moment, that window of opportunity? Because you'll feel empowered to do it. So we're all on a journey. We're all like boats, maybe a yacht, sailing in rough waters, trying to get to that port, working on the navigation systems inside, because we're hitting some rough waters, man. A little salt along the way. Man overboard, captain gets sick. Got to be prepared for all of these things as much as you can. And life is like a game, man. It is like a game that, like, you're acting and you're an actor but you have to be who you need to be. Don't try to be somebody that you're not, um, or continue to live a lifestyle like gambling when man, you're bleeding all over the place and you can see it. Now you can see it. Now it's time to say, wait a minute, man. I see the lighthouse. I'm turning the other way because if I go any further, that's it, man. There's no more blood in the blood bank. I'll be a goner. So here's I'm going to give Jim a few words here, but Mark, thank you. Appreciate you guys for your giving. A little bit of rapping, huh? A little bit of tapping. I don't know if I'm that good. I used to do a lot better. Uh, Now I feel like I'm just breaking a fetter, uh, trying to write a letter. I used to do it fast. I think it's a thing of the past now. Anyhow, uh, at least I got rid of the confliction, the contradiction, the pollution, because I found a solution. So maybe that little rap map helps out little Mark here. So there you go, a little bit of rapping. I got a bunch of little poems I'll begin reading once in a while that I've created from over the years, little rhymes. Some of them are pretty long too. Anyhow, thanks for the memory, Mark. I appreciate all of you guys, Laura. Let me see, legacy mindset, city by the bay. If I missed your question, feel free. You can send it there. Hold on to it. I know we do our best. Coach Jim and I, Nelson, thank you for being here. I don't know if, again, if you're new here, Soldier Scribe, make sure you turn on your notifications. All right. And, man, I got, what do you call that? Like air bubbles from that, from that Red Bull.
Red Bull.
Yeah, sometimes it's not good, huh? Barry Bob, he put in some information here. I think you could self-exclude for life. Yeah. Thank you for hanging out. Legacy Mindset. Laura City. Let me see who else was here. Blaze Journey, Tucson, Arizona. Hopefully, we've provided some support for you, man. This is the place to be. All right. Just throw your rope in there with us. Share your ideas. You guys are all smart people, man. I need some ideas, folks. Come on now. You guys got to support this mission. Keep the number 23 also. If you want to support financially, if you feel supported in some way, if you feel strengthened, motivated, inspired, $23, the number 23. Contribute. You can do that. Support this mission. Help us continue to go forward. You never know when I might not be here. You know, somebody's got to run this ship. City by the Bay, Mauricio, Blaze Journey. I think that was it. And then we had some visitors from Facebook. I think we had visitors from Facebook and Twitter. So it's been a good live feed. I'm encouraged. I'm motivated. I leave you with this. I'm going to let Jim share here. But here's what is it you're working through? What is it you're working through? And are you working through it? Start working through it. Begin. Journal. Write down. I don't care if you got to make one statement on a piece of paper. If that's your beginning, if that's how it starts out for you, one little statement. You know, what must I do? Where must I start? All right, Jim.
Yeah. So I want to just, because like I said, I say these things just to convince myself. I want to hear myself say this stuff because I want to do the work. I want to do the intentional work to change how I feel physically and emotionally to propel me in the right direction. You know, there's too many stupid thoughts in my mind, that drag me, that keep me in the comfort zone, you know, and the comfort zone, it feels good, but it's a toxic place. It weakens you. It drains your bank account, right? Makes you unhealthy, right? Um, and there's a much better life, I believe, if we just put that little work and effort into our plan, into our plan. So it's a challenge, right? Getting up early in the morning, doing the exercises, eating the salad, you know, just driving past the casino, driving past the bar, you know, um, dealing with those coworkers, dealing with uh, those toxic family members. I
And
mean,
boredom too. See,
and
you're dealing
boredom,
with
right?
all of those things and boredom. Boredom
And
is a
self
big one.
doubt. Right. A lot of challenges in our life, right? We have a lot of challenges, but on the other side of challenge, if we can fight, there's going to be something better. And
When we fight,
yeah,
when we begin to fight,
yeah.
yes, when we begin to
I
fight.
mean, just develop phrases, just collect phrases. It's like I can do anything if I set my mind to it. I set my mind to it. Just come up with phrases, that are empowering, and
Yep,
start brainwashing your mind
yep.
with positive, empowering, you know, energy enhancing things for you to do the work, to break through, break
Power
through.
wash. You
Yeah.
know those power wash? You ever seen them? Have you ever used one of those power washes, Jim?
Oh, to clean like the driveway or the oil
Cement, get
stains
all
and
that
stuff.
dark stuff and
Uh-huh.
black spots and all that stuff. You
Yeah.
need a good power wash.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
You do it long enough, it's going to start tasting good. At the beginning, it kind of tastes bitter, like the broccoli, right? But then you see some results. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling better. I'm looking better, Um, so hopefully that will go ahead and start, tasting really good, all the good habits that we start working on.
yep. One splinter at a time, folks. So, with that said, I truly appreciate each and every one of you guys. I hope that you appreciate yourself. And all of these wonderful things will only begin when, not if, but when. And if you're already in progress and you fell off the bandwagon, hey, maybe your wagon had a wooden wheel and the wood broke. So your wagon is just sitting there now. Okay, we're gonna slap that wood wheel. We're gonna put some metal band around that rubber, and then a rubber around there so it won't break. We'll put some metal spikes in the spokes. Put that wheel back on. Let's go. All right. Use your imagination. We got to keep going forward. So with that said, folks, I appreciate all of you guys. We will be back here. Listen, I'm going to do my best to come on either Tuesday or Thursday. I'm not going to make any promises. I will be here on Sunday. Lord willing, Coach Jim will be here on Sunday, and 7 p.m. PST. You're welcome to visit soldiersofselfmastery.com. Soldiersofselfmastery.com and see what's available there for you as a tool, as a resource. And with that said, I will see you guys on the next broadcast, number 209.
Thank you, Santos. Have
Thank
a
you,
happy.
Jim. Appreciate you, Jim. We're still going to, I think we might be working on that mastermind. I'm not sure.
Yes. Yes, that's right.
We'll see.
One course at a time.
All right. All right, to
Okay,
all.
Santos,
Good
have a
night
great week.
and happy Father's Day to all.
Happy Father's Day. Have a great week.